Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning, and we are going to be talking all things form. So let's make sure you can all hear and see me. Can you just confirm that you can see and hear me in the webinar chat, which also helps to ensure the webinar chat's working? Yes, thank you, Kirsty. Wonderful. Thank you, Karen, Nadine, Charlie, Nikki, Joe, Diane, Emma. Wonderful. Kathy, thank you very much. Excellent. So throughout the session today, guys, I'm going to be focusing on forms and only forms. We will touch on things like the client portal, because that's how we fill out a form and stuff like that. But if you can refrain from asking questions about anything else, ask it about forms. If you've got other questions, make sure you drop an email to us, go to the Help Centre, go onto the live chat on the Help Centre, or ask it in the Facebook group, and we will go from there. It just helps if we keep this really precise. To ask a session throughout the day, you can always, or throughout the next hour, you can put it in the webinar chat. However, I may miss it because there's a lot of things go on in there. If you want to ask a specific question, you want to guarantee that I'm going to answer it, put in the Q&A section, which is the tool on the bottom of your screen. That way I can ensure I go through that and I can mark each one as answered as I answer it. So yeah, cool. So forms, what are forms? Why do we use them? So forms is a tool that we put into Client Engager about a year ago now. And the idea is that it's a quick way to collect information from your clients, save it into Client Engager, export it from Client Engager into a PDF if you need to, but to do it in a quick and secure way. So you can use forms to ask your clients any questions you want. So we've seen people use them for self-assessment questionnaires, onboarding forms. In my firm, we've even got a form that goes out to all of our new clients and all of our clients every year as an AML self-declaration. And basically we say, have you been involved in X, Y, or Z? Yes, no. If yes, please explain what. Blah, blah. So basically, we've got a form filled out by our client in the client portal, which means we can see the client's date and time they logged in and did it, that I can go to my AML provider and go, this is how we ask the questions. We didn't just verbally ask and tell, we're not telling you this is what they told us. We're physically showing you this is the answer they gave us. So we've seen forms used for all sorts of reasons. So today's session is how to build a form, how to use a form, and how a client feeds back on a form, and then how you can deal with that. So any questions whatsoever throughout the session, guys, please stick it into the Q&A box. This session will be recorded, or is recorded, and it will go into the Help Centre within a couple of hours, depending on how quick Zoom turn it around for us. So you can watch it back later, you can pause it, you can do stuff like that. There are also already lots of forms, videos, or Help Centre articles in the Help Centre about forms. So this will just go onto that list to help you further. So without further ado, I will share my screen. If I can find the right window. See if we can do this right today. Bingo. Right, just to confirm, guys, if you just say yes in the comments that you can see my screen, just to make sure technology is not letting me down today. Fantastic, thank you, Nadine. Okay, so first of all, we need to build a form. So we'll do that first. Then I'll show you how you can send that form to your client. Then I'll go into a client portal and show you how the client will see it and how they can fill it out. And then I'll show you how we can store that data as well. So first of all, we need to go into our settings. Let me just move my face away. And we will go into our settings. We go down to data form definitions. And these are all the forms that we've already got. Now we put some forms into Client Engager as templates for you all, so that you can go in and use those straight away if you want to. If, however, you want to create your own form, that's not an issue. Or if you want to take a form that we've already given you, edit it and then use it, also not an issue. So when we put forms in, we put them in as a template for you as a draft. because once they're published, they can't be changed, but you can copy a form that is published, edit that one and save that one, and then delete the other form. So to add a form, we click on New Form. It asks, how do you want to do this? Do you want to create a form from scratch? Do you want to create a new existing form from an existing one, which is where we copy the current one and edit that and then publish it? Or do you want to import from file? So to clarify this import part, this is if a fellow Engager user is using a form that they have said they want to share with you. We've given you the ability to export a form into Engager's own special file type, and then they can send that to you via email or however, and that you can literally click on import from file, and you can choose a file from your downloads or your saved folder and you can import it. But it will only import CEXP files, which is the Client Engager form data saved thing that we have. So if anybody wants to be able to go, you know what, I've got a really good form for that, and you want to share that with one of your accountants or bookkeepers that you go networking with or something that you're friends with, you can do that. So you can literally export. You can export by pressing the blue export button, send it to them, and then they can import by clicking on import and selecting the file. So nice and easy. When you import, it imports as a draft, so you can then edit it further to make it more tailored to your firm if you want to. So if I wanted to create a new form, I'll just press new from scratch and we'll start from scratch. Or I can click on new form and start from an existing one. So I can click on there and it will ask me, right, can you give us, which form am I copying? And I can choose from any of the forms on this list. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to go in and show you kind of how to edit forms. So here's my AML declaration form, okay? I can go in here. First of all, I give it a name, then I can give it a description, then I can put it into categories as well. And if you want to add more categories to this list, then you just click up here at the top, edit form categories. And then you can have as many categories in here as you like to help organize them. And so if I go back into my AML declaration, first of all, I've put my name, category and stuff, and I've said I want to save this as a draft at the moment. I don't want to publish this. It's a working document that I'm just editing. I'm getting it ready to be used. And then what I've done is I've added various fields. So there's two types of fields we can add. One is called built-in, and this is a really powerful bit. So this is the bit where we can go, I want to pull in like the first name, as we've done here, from all of the fields I've got in Client Engager. And every time you add a new custom field, it comes onto this list for you. And the beauty of this is, when a client fills this out, you're going to be able to click save on that particular detail, and it will save into your Client Engager. So you're going to be able to cut down all your data entry time really quickly and easily. As well as our built-in fields, we also have custom fields are built in as well, but we also have form-specific fields. So this is where your clients might put information that you're not worried about saving against the client record. So maybe it's how much income did you have in the tax year from your rental income or something like that, where you don't want to necessarily save it against the client record, but you do want to collect that information. So that's what a form-specific question's about. And when you create a form-specific question, you can choose what type of answer they give you. Is it a single line of text? Is it a multi-line text where they might need to put a couple of paragraphs in? Is it a whole number with decimal places? A date with or without a time? An address? A single choice or a multiple choice of a selection of things that you give them? So you can really customize this form to do exactly what you want it to do. What the forms don't have at this time, and we're looking at it for the future, but no ETAs, is the ability to have logical answers and next questions. So if, for example, you want to ask a yes/no question, and if they say no, there's no follow-up. But if they said yes, actually, then they need to follow up with another question. We haven't got the ability to hide that second question unless they answer yes. So you will always have to present information. So for example, question 1, are you involved in politics? Drop down choice, yes, no. Question 2, if yes, then explain. Now on things like Google Forms and stuff like that, you could hide question 2 unless they say yes to question 1. We don't have that ability yet, but we are looking at it for the future. So if you need them to expand on something, you need to put it in there and just make sure you don't mark it as required. Because if they say no and then you say if yes, then please explain, and you've marked that as required, then it will confuse the client. And our clients get confused at the best of times. So we try and reduce that. So in our forms, we've got a few things. We can have sections. So I can have different sections with different batches of questions. And then each section has a question. I can reorganize these questions if I want to, use my up and down arrows. And I can even move them into different sections. So in this AML form, I've got a personal info section, I've got my AML questions, and I've got sign off. Now, just for context of this sign off, all this is please type your name to confirm answers are true to the best of your knowledge. This is not a legally binding signature. It's not e-signed. However, it's better than nothing. It's them going, right, I'm going to type my name in because I believe these answers are true. And when this is filled out on the client portal, we capture the date and the time the form is done and it submits it to you. So it helps cover your backside a bit, basically. So let's start out with a brand new form, okay? So I'm going to click on Start from Scratch, and I'm going to call this a form or actually let's do this. So another form we use in my firm is an annual details review. So we send this form out to every single client once a year, where the client goes through and updates their details. So very much like maybe when you go to your doctors or your dentists, they say, can you just confirm these details are still right? Because they don't see you very often and they want to make sure. I'm going to put in my category of detail renewal. I'm going to keep it as draft because I've not finished yet. And then I'm going to add a section. And I'm going to call it personal details. Now, a lot of people will say to me, well, why do I need to put this bit in, Johan? But there's good reason. So then I'm going to ask some questions. And when I ask a question, it says, right, do I want to use a built-in field, which is one of the fields that we've built and comes standard in Client Engager? Do I want to use one of the custom fields that I've built as a firm owner? Or do I want to use a specific form question? Well, in this case, I want to capture someone's details. So I'm going to choose a built-in question. And I'm going to say, I want to confirm your first name in this example. And I want to say, yes, answer is required. I want them to confirm what their first name is. Then I'm going to say surname. And the reason I always do this every year is because the amount of people that go out and get married, change their surname, and don't tell their accountants and bookkeepers is phenomenal. Oh, I've pressed save. Where have I just done that? There we go. So I've asked my first two details here. And it's as simple as that. I can keep going in. Maybe I want to ask a custom field, so I can choose from there. And it goes, right, which custom field do you want to ask about? And maybe I want to ask about, where's my AML processing go? So down here, we've got some AML questions, which are custom fields that I've put in. I'm going to ask, are you involved in politics? Maybe I'm going to ask as well from the same area, have you been arrested or charged for money laundering in the past? Because these things could have happened since their last declaration. And then maybe I'm going to put in a form specific question. Is there any business or personal news we should know about? Our services. And I'm going to make that a multi-line text area. Sorted. So what I can do then is I want to see what this form looks like. Press preview, and there we go. That's what the form's going to look like when the client sees it. And then I can press save. So that's how we create a form. I can create a brand new one. I can copy one from an existing form already in here and edit that. Or my friend who uses the Engager, because they've made the right choice in life, has got a form that they really, really enjoy using, really powerful. I don't want to build it all from scratch myself, so I'm going to ask them to send me that form so I can import it. So that's how we create our forms. Before I move into the next section of how we use those forms with our clients, let me just check. I will. So a few people have said, can we have the AML form? Yes, I will put the AML declaration form into the Facebook group for you all to download and use. Now, because there are custom fields in it, you will need to create those custom fields so the form works. So if I go into here, I've added new custom fields in the AML manual section of my firm, which asks, are you involved in politics? Yes or no. Have you been arrested or charged for fraud? Yes or no. Do you trade in high value items? Yes or no. Are you involved in cryptocurrency? Yes or no. And then but if you've put those custom fields in, you'll be fine. I'll show you where those fields are quickly. So I go into a client record. If I go down to manual AML, I've just created these fields in here just so I've got them in case I need, so I've got the information inputted. Right, so how do we send forms out? We've got a few options here. One way is to go into a client like I've just gone into and go to form requests, new request at the top, choose my form. Maybe I want to send out an onboarding form. And the question, one of the things it's going to ask is allow filling out multiple times. Do I want the user to be able to go into the portal and fill this out multiple times? Maybe not in this case. Do I want to pre-populate built-in fields? So basically what this is doing is, you know those fields where I was asking first name, surname, and I can ask business name, business address and stuff? If I've got that information, I can pre-fill that by saying yes here onto the form. So the client just has to review the information, they have to fill it out so it's less laborious. So what we do is on our annual renewal form, like on our annual data census, as we call it, I think we call it the census in our firm, we pre-fill all of those fields using what we've already got on record, and then the client can read through it, change anything they want to change in the form, and then resubmit. But they've not had to fill it all out from scratch, so we're trying to reduce the onerous effort on their side as well as yours. So I'm going to press save. And straight away, the system goes, right, you're going to want to share this form. You're going to need to tell the client that this form's now in their portal. So it automatically goes for the form request template. Again, you can choose whether you want to use that or not. You create your own templates. All you need to do is make sure this form request link placeholder is in your email template that you're sending, or the email that you're sending. Otherwise, there's nothing for them to click and they won't know to go to the client portal to do it. And then you press send, and that will send. If I want to preview it, I've got, hi Victoria, we'd like to ask you to fill out this following form. Please proceed to the form, click here, blah, 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 done. And then that will show up in their portal, and they will be invited, that link takes them to their portal to fill out the form. We've just had a question coming in. Rachel, with the allowing filling out multiple times, if I use this for an employer to complete a new starter form, can they complete the new form, save it, and then complete a second one for a second employee? When, how does it get stored? So yes, in theory, that should then recreate it every time in this list of form requests here. So if I go to a better example of forms to show you the history. So I go down to my forms. So in theory, with them filling it out multiple times, it will log each time here, but it will be the same form. So I could go here, I could click on review answers, and I'd have a list of entries that I can go through. So yes, in theory, that a new employee form would work really well as a repeating one. They can fill out multiple times. So done that. Right. So we've now sent our form to our client through an email link. We can see all our forms here. We can see which ones have had responses, which ones haven't. We can see whether it's finished, whether it's pending, whether it's in progress. We can see the date and time it was finished. So I'm going to go on to this one, which has been finished, and I'm going to have in fact, no, I'll come back to this in a moment. So I've sent the form to the client. Let's do this in chronological order. So the client then needs to go into their portal and fill this form out. That's the Help Center, yeah. So this is the client portal. I've logged into my demo account, and when a client logs in, if they've used the link in your email, it will automatically open up the screen for the form that you need them to fill out. It will take them to this bit here, and I can fill out my form. As you can see, it's already got details in here of various bits and pieces that I've already got on record. But if they don't do that, and they just log into their portal because they like to disregard instructions, you can see straight away there's a big red circle with a number if there's any forms here to be filled out. Let's see if I can find a different type of form. Nope, it's all going to be self-assessment. So these are all the self-assessment forms. Here's a form that I've said don't pre-fill it. I want this form to go out blank. As you can see, I've got all my personal details here, etc. I've got lots of yes/no questions, and then I've said, if yes, please answer here. So the client would go through, fill this out. Now, if a client puts in something that doesn't make sense to the system, i.e., they put in their UTR number, but it's too short, the system won't let them file it because it will tell them the UTR number's wrong. So it does a bit of sense checking for you to make sure they're giving you the right data as best they can. So, Emma Hasty, sorry, just a few questions coming on this. So, do the forms show up in the app? I tried sending one to myself, but it didn't show on the app for me. No, forms aren't available on the mobile app at this moment in time. They will be later on. At the moment, the mobile app is for documents and e-signing. They need to log into their browser just to be able to see forms and fill those in at the moment. And what if you're a bit slow like me and haven't set up a client portal yet? Do you just email as normal and manually input to Engager, i.e. a new start form? No, so forms cannot be sent to a client unless they have got a client portal. The forms are on like a purpose technology we've built for ourselves, so they don't exist outside of Client Engager. So they don't exist outside of the Firms Engager and the client portal. You must use the portal for the client to be able to fill this in. That's how we make sure it's securely done. It makes things efficient, And also that's how we've built the technology. So I'll click on that. So yeah, so they need to have the portal. So what you do if you've not you can generate the form and send it to them, but they're going to need an invite to the portal. So all you need to do is click to the client info and go to the related individuals that you want to invite to the portal. So I want to invite me. And as you can see, I'm already invited, but if I wasn't invited, so if I delete this, I can press invite and I can send that invite. You need to invite everyone to your portal before you can give them forms. But also remember, when a client sends a letter of engagement, so if you've gone into our letter of engagement tool, generated and press send from here, when the client signs that letter of engagement, it automatically creates them a portal and they set a password at that time. So they may already have a portal. But yeah, so they need a portal to be able to fill out a form, but you don't need to have invited them to the portal before you generate the form, if that makes sense. Let me know if that helps, Anne. Yep, that was useful. Good. Claire, can it save with errors, just not submit? Yes, they can save it, but they can't submit it with errors. So that should work fine. Steve, is there a way to view a client's portal to check what they can and can't see? There isn't. There is a request for this on the ideas list, which you can get to by clicking on your name at the top and go to feature requests, and you can vote for it. But most firms have just set up their own firm as a client and invited themselves to it so they can help navigate people through. There's also videos in the help desk you can send to your client saying this is your portal, this is how you use it, etc. Basically, as soon as you put the form request in here, even if you've not emailed the link to the client, it's in their portal and they will get a red circle with a number 1 in it. The only way they won't see it is if they've logged into a different portal, but they shouldn't be able to do that because they've only technically got one portal and all their businesses should be linked to it. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Diani, can you link folders and files to and upload? You can't upload documents and folders to forms. It's just a information gathering thing. If you want them to then upload information, you need to ask them to upload it to the portal separately. If the client updates details, e.g. after a name change, will this automatically update in the client info file, or will we need to make any updates manually? Joe, I'm going to come onto this in 2 moments and I'll show you how that works. Charlie, can client fill in part of the form and save it until they have completed it later? And what if the UTR is required but you don't know it? Can they submit the rest of the form and let you know the UTR is currently unknown? So what they can do, Charlie, is if they go back in here, when I click on respond, I've ended my session because I've deleted myself. Basically, when they click on respond, one of the options is they can finish later. That's one of their options. So they can partially fill it out and finish it later. If they haven't got a detail that you need them to have, just tell them to put in like a UTR number. Just tell them to put in 10 zeros, and then that form will go through. Or do not click that, make that field compulsory if you don't think they're going to have that information. That's the other option. So yeah, there. Hopefully that helps. Cool. So client's been into their portal. They've done their form. You will then get a notification at the top up here. So if I click on to show all my notifications, and one of these here is a client data has been edited. Nope. There we go. Client finishes and submits a form. So you'll get a notification that a form's been completed. So I can click on that and it will take me to the list of forms. I can see all the finished ones. And I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to review the answers. And I want to, at this point, I can either tell the client to amend the answers because they're not right or something seems off, or I can download it, export it as a PDF, or of course I can view it first. So I'm now viewing all the answers they've put in. In the left-hand column is the form response. In the right-hand column is if we've got this information, if it matches to what we've got on record or if it's different. So if I go into this client quickly, I'm just going to change the authentication code for this client. So if I then go into my forms, go here. Right, so let's assume this is a annual data refresh form, okay? The client has sent us all the information. Everything is equal. Everything matches apart from one thing. And this bar here has turned red to alert me to this issue. I've now got an option to copy to client records. So I've got this currently recorded on my client record. This is what they've told me it is. So I can click on copy, save, and then that updates your record in Client Engager. We would never let the system automatically update any information without your authority each time. Because who's to say the client's got it right? So yeah, we always let you sense check things first, which is why we turned red. I had the option to copy and I could press confirm at the bottom. So other things I could do here, maybe I want to export this form. So the client will always see this form in there as completed in their portal. But maybe it's a self-assessment tax return questionnaire and I want to export it and add it to another PDF with the tax return and stuff. I could do that by pressing export there and it puts it there. Maybe I've gone in, some of the answers aren't right. I want to ask the client to change some of the answers. I can then send them an amendment reason. What's wrong? Look even better if I could spell myself. Confirm. It's going to then send an email saying, can you please adjust it? The reason I'm asking you to adjust it is something looks like the reason that I've just typed, which was name looks wrong. So if I click on the view here, can you please adjust this form? Reason for the adjustment is name looks wrong, proceed with form. So we've got the ability to resend forms to be edited if we needed them to be as well. Cool. So that's forms. So that's how you create forms. You can create a brand new form. You can copy a current form and edit that and use that. You can import forms from one another if you want to share your forms with each other. You can then send the form for the client. It can either go blank, it can go pre-populated with the information you've got, it can be filled out multiple times, it can be then sent back to you, checked, couple of clicks, and it's saved all the updated records. Or you can send it back to the client with a reason for amendments to be requested. You can send as many forms as you like, as often as you like. So that's not an issue at all. And if you want to send loads of forms all in one go, so for example, I want to send all my self-assessment tax return forms, I could go to my clients. I could go to, let's say, yeah, I'm going to send my self-assessment tax return. So I want to filter. I'm going to go to enabled services. And I just want to see the SA100 clients. There's 89 of them. Click on OK. Click off this. This list is now consisting of 89 people only. I select all. Bulk actions. Create a form request. This is all the people I'm sending it to. Which form do I want to send them? I'm going to send them the self-assessment tax questionnaire. Maybe it's slightly changed what you need to capture this year compared to last year. So maybe you've been in and you've got a self-assessment questionnaire for 22-23 and the 23-24. So make sure you're choosing the right one. If you're changing your questionnaire every year, I would put in the relevant year that that questionnaire is there for. Choose that. Do I want to allow it to be filled out multiple times? No, it's a tax questionnaire. It should just be done once each year. So, and I might need to send them a new questionnaire next year if the rules of tax have changed, and maybe I need to get different information. Do I want to pre-fill it with any pre-filled information like their name, UTR number, national insurance? Yes, that's helpful. And also, if I've already requested this recently for a few of the clients, I don't want to double send this. So I can click on ignore clients with this same request for this form raised after a certain date. And then I press submit. It's now created all of those forms for me. And now it says you can now notify those clients via email. And I just do my email as normal. So we can create forms, we can copy old forms and update them. We can import each other's forms if we want to share. We can send a form. We can bulk send a form. We can ask the client to fill it out in their portal, which is nice and secure. When it comes back, we can review it. We can send it back for amendments. We can review it. We can save all the data on there into Client Engager if they're pre-built fields or custom fields. And the form stays on there for the life of the client while they're on Client Engager and when they're archived. And I can also export it as a PDF as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our Forms tool. Any questions? Any scenarios people are like, oh, I'd like to get this kind of information. How would you do it? Anything whatsoever. I'll make sure I share my AML declaration form on the Facebook group. Another one that's actually proved really helpful for us is that in my firm is the ability is the annual information check to make sure everything we've got on record. Can you share the self-assessment form as well? Diane, I think the self-assessment form is already in here. I'm fairly sure it's in there as a standard template. So yeah, I think it's in here as a standard template. Have a look in your Client Engager. If it's not there, let me know and I'll send you one of the templates. That's not a problem. Just remember, guys, if you are importing, it will ask you to check that you've got all the custom fields. Otherwise, it won't work. Rachel, just in regards to the new employee form, presumably these would all be custom fields. No, Rachel, what I would do is I'd use form-specific fields for that. Otherwise, you're going to have loads and loads of fields for every employee. You don't want that all on the record. You just want the PDF form to be filled out. So I would use form-specific fields. So if I was to create a new employee form, create it from scratch. Information gathering. I'm going to save it as draft. Personal details, question, form specific. Full name. Form specific. Form specific. Date of birth. I mean, actually, what I could do is create two forms. Employee. So I'm going to create this form for the employee. Work. and so on. So you could add as many fields here as you wanted. Maybe you want so I'm going to save that. And then maybe I want a different form that I'm going to send to my employer. Employer, information gathering. So employee name. I mean, the employer would fill out both of these forms because it's in their portal, but which then actually that makes this completely pointless. Ignore that. So sorry, I was thinking something wrong there. So new employee form, scratch all that because the employer is filling this out. The reason I was thinking otherwise is we have on our payroll software, we have it so that the employee can fill out the form for us. Whereas in this case, we want the employer to fill it out because only the employer has got access to their portal. Form specific, right? Or salary. Da, da, da. Work. Maybe you want the employee's email address for payslips. Nope, I've gone off that. But then maybe I realise actually, cancel. Where have I gone? There we go. Actually, I want that to move up because that makes sense to be asking that once when I've asked about their email, their normal address. So there we go. Current address, now employee address. So yeah, so this form would be filled out by the employer. Darnie, would the employee need to be set up as a contact in CE to complete a form? So, Darnie, I would never give the employees access to the Client Engager portal because they can't have access as a contact that's not linked to a business, that's a client. And then if you link them to that business and you forget to exclude folders, you're potentially risking data protection issues. So I would not give them access to the client portal full stop. This form would need to be filled out by the employer. If you want a form that's filled out by the employee, you need to look at a payroll software solution that does automate, like employee-led onboarding. So, for example, I know Employment Hero does it. There's a few out there. I think Buddy does it or is about to start doing it, where you can send them a link and they go into the portal and fill the information out themselves. But in this case, you're sending this form to the employer. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. Any other questions, folks? Anything else I can help on with forms? Any scenarios you're thinking of that I can show you, walk you through and answer questions on? Otherwise, we will bring this to a close. Right, Nadine, can you create a new employee form and have it available for the client to find it and fill out at any time without us having to send the request? Yes. So all you do is if you know you've got a client, for example, that has payroll people, and I need to get rid of that. All you do is go to Forms, New Request, Oh, I didn't publish my form. Make sure you publish the form, people. So if I go to new employee, I'm going to edit it because I need to turn it into published, save, go to my clients, go to forms, and create a request, new employee form. Do I want to allow them to fill it out multiple times? Yes. Do I want to pre-populate it? No, because I want it blank every time. Press save. When this comes up, just close it, and that's it. So whenever you add documents to the portal, etc., if you don't necessarily want to email the client about it, just close the email window down and it won't email them. It is that simple. Cool. Hopefully that helps. On the new employees form, I want to create a workflow for payroll whereby each month in advance of payroll date, they receive an automated email asking them to advise us of any new employees. Could this be set up? Yes. So what I would do is I would go to my settings. I'd go to my services. Go to my payroll. Assuming I've got payroll on here. And I'd go to my automations. I'd create a new automation. I haven't got an email for this right now, so create your email first. But basically what I'll just say is on the email, just like, oh, we're about to start your payroll work again. Please, can you, if you've got any new employees, can you please log into your client portal, have the link to the client portal there, and complete the new employee form that is available in your forms. That way they can go in and do it. And then I'll just set this all up because I've already got that form. I've put it on there. It's just like I've just shown Nadine how to do that. Like I've put it in there. I've said it multiple times, so it'll always be available in there. So the client can just go to into their portal, go to forms, and fill out that form, submit it. Fill out the form, submit it. You'll get notifications, and I'll just say this. I want this to go out 7 days before the deadline, or 14 days before the deadline, so you've got plenty of time, and go from there. So you can't generate the form and send a link to that form in an automated email. But if you've got a form that can be filled out multiple times already in the client's list of forms that they can see in their portal, then you could just send an automated email saying, please log into your client portal if you've got any new employees and complete the new employee form. Hopefully that makes sense and helps. Cool. Anything else? Any other questions on anything, on how we can use forms to make our lives a lot easier? Okay, well, in that case then, guys, I will leave, I'll bring the session to an end. Thank you very much for joining me. As promised, this is recorded, so this will go into the client portal, help portal, so that you can watch it back. As always, if you've got questions on this or any other feature, please feel free to join us on the 7:30 p.m. Wednesday weekly live show. And then you can ask any questions you like there. Of course, we've got live chat in the help center you can ask questions on. You can email us at contact@engager.app and ask questions in the Facebook group. And we monitor them pretty much day and night. I think we're actually on for a record achievement this month of 5-minute average response time to emails. We'll see how the weekend treats us, but that's what we're aiming for at the moment, which is phenomenal. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone for joining us. Enjoy your 10-minute extra lunch break, and I will chat to you all in the near future. Thank you very much.